It's been yet another tough week for Big Ange after losing his 7th game. Has he lost his 7th game in a row? He must have had a draw somewhere.
No, he's had a couple of draws, hasn't he?
Yeah.
He's had a couple of draws.
Must have had a couple of draws, yeah.
Yeah.
And they felt a 2-0 defeat, obviously, at Newcastle at the weekend over the talkSPORT Drive yesterday. Dan Bent has had his say in Forest's decision to appoint Postecoglou, and he's adamant that it was a terrible idea, Benty.
Even if they sacked Nuno, which I don't think was the right appointment, by the way, I thought it was a appalling decision. But they went another route and got another manager, and you go, okay, but for the guy, I know he won the Europa League, and fair play to him, you can never take that away from him. It's a hell of an achievement. But the guy will finish 4th bottom. Like, do you know what I mean? Forest finished 7th.
With Spurs, by the way.
Right. So I don't know where you look at that and go, that's an upgrade.
No.
Not one part of that's an upgrade. So I just wonder I think they'll stick with him because Marinakis is going to be desperate for him to show the fans this is the right reason why we did it. But if they do move away from him, it's where do they go next?
They're fine, I know we're not concentrating on this.
Was you listening to Ange there or not, and Benty and Andy?
No.
I was.
I'm going to be brutally honest with you.
I was.
Couldn't care what Benty was saying.
You're already
no
thinking
interest at all. I've got no interest what Benty says normally. But when you've asked me a question like that and put me on the spot, anyway, do you want to take over?
Listen, the boys talking about Ange, and it was something I mentioned to you this morning about, and it's, I think it's very, very early days for Ange.
Of course it is.
Nothing worse than getting off to the sort of start that he's had, of course not. But to even be talking about changing him. I mean, which De Boer was it? Was it Frank De Boer, Ronald at Palace?
Frank.
Right. So that was 4 games, wasn't it? That one.
Oh,
do you remember that, Ali?
Yeah. And thing we did it with Ten Hag, didn't they?
Yeah, Bayer, Leverkusen.
Really. Anyway,
yeah.
For a bit more on the Ange situation, it's a very good morning to Forest writer Paul Taylor. Paul, very good morning. Thanks for joining us, mate. How are you?
I wasn't expecting to need to put my lederhosen on this morning, I'll be honest.
Paul, as you can see, we're normally all over. Well, not normally, we are all over the place in this programme, but thanks for taking the time to join us, mate. We're just discussing, clearly it's not an ideal situation. Where are you with it as regards Anne's position? Surely it's too early, is it not?
Look, whatever people's opinions on it are, the fact is his position is under serious scrutiny because of the start he's made. You know, he is under pressure to deliver results. I think I feel a bit of sympathy for him because normally when a manager takes over a new role in a football club, it's because the man before him has been a failure, hasn't been successful. And in his case, he's taken over from a manager in Nuno who was hugely popular, both with the players and supporters. A lot of the players saw him even as being a kind of father figure in the dressing room. They really liked him. They respected him and had faith in the approach that he had. And the supporters liked him for delivering European football for the first time in 3 decades, where Ange came in already with question marks over his head because of what he did at Tottenham. He won the Europa League, which was why he was appointed, because Forest wanted somebody who could immediately come in and do that again, bring a European trophy. But B, he had those struggles in the Premier League, and what Forest fans have seen straight away is all those criticisms and all those questions about Ange that were asked during his time at Tottenham are already kind of coming true at Forest. They're seeing the same things. The things they feared might happen are already happening, and those questions are only becoming more and more intense because of that. He just desperately needs a win. He needs something to turn this around, a landmark moment.
Yeah. Paul, is it noticeable that the way that Ange is trying to get this team to play doesn't suit them? Is that something that's very apparent, or has it been more individual errors, moments of casual sloppy play that have really cost them? Or do you really see something going on that you think, no, this lot can't do that?
There's been signs that it might work. I do think the players they signed in the summer were potentially even more suitable to Postecoglou than they were to Nuno. Right. They signed a lot of very attacking players like Bakwa, Amari Hutchinson. The additions seem to be very much focused on giving more attacking football, which is what Nuno wanted to do as well. He wanted to progress his game and become a little more possession-based, keep the ball a little bit more, control games a little bit more. So I don't think the squad is unsuited to the way that Postecoglou wants to play, with the exception perhaps of another ball-playing central defender who could slot in. I think they're pretty well suited. And in games against Betis, for example, they were outstanding for 45 minutes. Now, I realise that in itself isn't a massive argument for saying he's doing brilliantly, because he hasn't made a great start. It's the worst start of any manager at Forest for 100 years, which is ridiculous when you put it in those terms. But there are small signs that it could work. There have been moments when his football has clicked, but it's the same as at Tottenham. You know, there comes a point where those great moments, those great spells of good football don't really count for anything unless the results come as well. And that's what he needs. He needs something to show that his approach can work. But again, as you mentioned, he's managed 4 Premier League games, 7 games in total. That is a very short space of time to instigate an entirely new style of football, an entirely new mentality under a manager who's a probably very different character to the man who was previously in charge.
Excellent, Paul. I think the next season.
Nice one, Paul. Thank you.
Yeah, I think the Chelsea, Porto and Bournemouth. But thanks very much for your time, Paul. We'll be watching on
talkSPORT Breakfast, waking you up Monday to Friday morning from 6 a.m. on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.